Okay, and then looking at the grade breakdown here. So this is the schematic for uh, how I broke down the grades. So there were four parts to the test. There was the quotation part where you had three quotations, so they come in at 10 points each. And then there was a titling part. You had four titles, so they're 5 points each. Then you had part three was proposal writing. That's out of 25 points, and uh, part four of the dialogue was out of 24 points. Okay, so this is the example of what you'll see in the dialogue box, right? So this is the actual scoring of the test or the exam before curving. So you can see that for the most part, I'm just giving number grades. Sometimes I will give some explanations that are sort of in my code words, which are referring to the rubrics, which we'll take a look at in a second. Okay, so the language that I use, like contextualization, textualization, you will find definitions of that in the grading rubric. So, I'm using that all the time. Might not be the most familiar verbiage or words or phraseology for yourself. Just consult the critical rubric for that. So for the most part, I'm just writing notes to myself uh, with in the raw score dialog box. But anyway, so you can see, I'll just explain some of these notes. So here, like in the titling, or excuse me, in the quotation part, I put a note of textualization, and I'll talk about this a little in the next episode. Uh, but textualization means that you weren't, when you were doing the quote analysis, you really weren't showing a command of the quote within the text that we read. That it was a little bit more of a term paper analysis of the quote. You weren't really, you were talking about the quote too much in general. You really weren't breaking down the quote um, in its sentence by sentence or word by word, doing a little bit more of that type of analysis. So it was more of a generalized analysis rather than a textualized analysis. Here with the titles, I say overtitled a narrative rather than philosophical emphasis. So this was, a problem for most people. Titles are hard to write, so some people just tried to write too much. Some people were emphasizing the narrative rather than the philosophical import or the what I would say is the argumentative idea. And